Okay. And away we go. Alrighty, just a quick reminder for everybody. Welcome to Monday of a 5-day week. It'll be fine, we'll get through it. Just a reminder to everybody, you can see here when the next lesson will be. I've moved the start times to 9 o'clock just to give more people a chance to get logged in and get ready for those of you who are at home. Please remember that when you're at home, you still have requirements to log in and complete the work that's being assigned. It's not a day off, okay? If you treat it like a day off, it's not going to work, okay? This will be where the live stream is every time. I try and get this updated as close to 8, a little after 8 as possible in the morning, so you'll know what's going to happen if you can't remember from the previous week or the previous day. So this is what's going on right now. This is the live stream as we move forward. We have finished. Everybody should have this one submitted based on the due dates. Scratch proficiency. That one was due May 7th. Okay, you got a little bit of extra time to work on that one. If you're just in the finishing stages of that one, you're probably still in good shape. If you're still way back here on Bible story strings, you're in a little bit of trouble. And you're going to have to start doing a little bit of work on your own time to get yourself caught up. Okay? Maybe those are if you're way back there, maybe those are the people who are thinking that they don't have to work on the days they're at home and then complain that remote learning doesn't work. Okay? You still have to do the work when you're at home. All right? So please and thank you. Get yourself caught up. If you're way back here, you're going to have to start working on your own time to get caught up. If you're just finishing up Scratch Proficiency, you probably are okay. All right? So we're going on to Lesson 8, Problem Solving, and then we have 3 assignments that I'm going to review today as well. Assignment 8, Abstraction, Assignment 9, Automation, Decomposition, and Logical Reasoning, and Algorithm Practice, which is actually a forum. Okay, so let's dive into Lesson number 8. Abstraction is a computer science term, but it's something that we do on a daily basis. When somebody asks you how to get to your house, you don't give them every single instruction. You just give them the instructions that matter. So you kind of sift through the instructions that are available for you to give, and you provide the ones that are essential for them to get there. And this is very much the difference between a human being and a computer. Computers have trouble abstracting. They can't really understand that. There'll be times I'll be driving in an unfamiliar city, and I've got my Maps app running, telling me when to turn next, and it'll say something like, in 300 meters, go straight. So in 300 meters, you want me to do nothing? That's not information I need. Just leave me alone. I'm going to continue going straight until you tell me to turn, you stupid machine. Okay? That's an example of abstraction. Humans are very good at this. For the most part, we're very good at this. Sometimes there's some assumptions that come into this skill where we assume people know something that they don't know, and then we don't give them valuable information. But for the most part, abstraction is something human beings can do on a pretty good basis. Okay? We give them essential information. Landmarks, street signs. Now, if you remember from Social Studies 9, you were taught 2 types of location. You were taught absolute location and relative location. Absolute location always is based on a system, okay? Like lines of latitude and longitude, township and ranges, or in city, street signs. Okay, those are examples of absolute location. It's a labeled area, okay? Relative location is next to another landmark. So drive down the highway till you see a big tree that's been struck by lightning and turn right at that tree. That's relative location, okay? Human beings can abstract based on who they're talking to. If I'm talking to my wife and I'm telling her directions on how to get somewhere, I can give her street signs because I know she knows where the majority of the streets are. My 16-year-old daughter just started driving. She doesn't know the streets very well, so I kind of have to give her a little combination of both. I can give her the major streets, but then the smaller side streets, I have to say things like, when you get to the Dairy Queen, you have to turn right. Okay? Again, that's an example of abstraction based on who my audience is and who I'm talking to. Okay, I have a video here. When you go through the lesson, you'll have to watch it because you have to spend 5 minutes on the lesson anyway. So you'll have to watch that video as you get to that part. I'm not going to watch it now because I'll leave something for you to do when you go through the lesson on your own. Automation is a much more simple concept to grasp and relates very well to abstraction. Automation is the process of solving your problems with limited to no interaction with the required steps. So automation occurs after we have become proficient in something. So once you know how to do something, it becomes automatic. I back my vehicle into parking spots. I've done that for a long time. Mostly it's because I'm lazy, because I would rather do the work up front so that I can be lazy later, rather than be lazy now and then have to do work later. So when I park in a parking spot, you look at parking spot 87 right now. It's I'm backed in. The only time I don't back in is my truck is a back-wheel drive and it's kind of declined there, and there's no weight in the back, so sometimes it spins on the ice in the wintertime and I can't get out. But for the most part, I back in at home, I do all of that. So when I go to park, I don't stop and think, okay, all right, put it in reverse. Okay, you back up a little bit, line up my mirrors. I just back up and back into my parking spot. Okay, it's automatic. This can also be very dangerous for humans because we start doing things without thinking about the thing we're doing. All right, I've driven to work in the morning and I'll get 3/4 of the way to Miller and I'll say to myself, I have no memory of this drive. I was just going through the motions of driving. So that guarantees you that my reaction time is down because I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just driving the vehicle from memory, which is very, very dangerous, and it's how accidents can happen. Okay? That's how automatic things can come to. This is my absolute favorite story about automation, though. I have a friend who's a city police officer. And when he was going through his training to be a police officer, they told him this story. This didn't happen to my friend. It's a story they tell, and they say that it's true. If it's not true, it doesn't matter. It's still pretty cool. So they would teach them this method to disarm somebody who had a knife. And they would give them plastic rubber knives. And they'd say, here, practice how to disarm somebody who has a knife. And you're going to be tested on it. And if you want to be a cop, you have to prove that you can do it. So my buddy said this person took his knife home, gave it to his girlfriend, and said, here, pull this knife on me, I'm going to disarm you. So she pretended to pull the fake knife. He disarmed her. And then he said, okay, I want to do it again. And gave her back the knife. Disarmed her, gave her back the knife. Disarmed her, gave her back the knife. And he did that over and over and over again until he was really, really good at that technique. So that if somebody pulled a knife on him, he didn't even have to think. He would just react, and he would disarm them. So he does the test, passes the test, becomes a police officer. Lo and behold, a few years into him being a cop, somebody pulls a knife on him, and he doesn't even think. He just goes through the process that he learned. He disarms the person and then gives them the knife back. Because that's how he practiced. That's how he learned. He learned by at the end of taking the knife away, he gave it back to his girlfriend so that he could practice again. And that automated response from his brain just did it the exact same no matter what. Okay? That is automation. If we have 10,000 repetitions, 10,000 successful repetitions, typically that skill becomes automatic for us. All right? And skills are not perishable to the same level that knowledge is. Some of you probably had to memorize a bunch of facts for a test you wrote last semester. I guarantee you've forgotten the majority of those facts right now. And it's only been like 3 weeks. Whereas when you learn how to ride a bike as a kid, and then you don't ride a bike for 20 years, you're going to jump on the bike, you're going to be able to ride it again. Maybe you won't be as good as you were as a kid, but you're still going to have the basic skill set. Okay? That's the idea behind this automation. If you get something to automation, it's always going to be there for you. Okay? Computers can be automated, and that's what you kind of want to go for. When we talk about loops and things like that, we want a specific thing to occur in our program. If we can automate that section, then we're in a better place, because it's not something that you have to tell the computer, hey, do this. Hey, when this happens, do this. You have it set up already, and the computer becomes automatic. Decomposition. I use decomposition when I format this course. I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, decomposition is, I don't know if you remember my story, and I may not have told this story about online courses, and they're like eating elephants. Okay, that's decomposition. So if you look at my course the way it's set up right now, the course looks small. There's not a whole lot here. I only have these, 7 tabs, 9 tabs. Okay, the course is small. Now if I open every single tab, the course starts to look a lot bigger and maybe a little bit more intimidating. And if you think about it, like the first time somebody ever used Moodle for a course, and now all of a sudden they've got all this instead of just those 9 tabs. That's decomposition. Okay, you're hiding the parts that don't matter and just focusing on what's important at the given moment. It's also why I make you complete one task before I allow you to move on to the next task. Because it doesn't allow you to try and look through the whole course and understand it. If someone comes up to you and says you have to eat this elephant, you're going to look at the whole elephant and you're going to go, I can't eat an entire elephant, that takes forever. But if you hide the elephant and you just keep bringing a plate of elephant, one small plate at a time, over time you're going to be able to eat that elephant. This is incredibly useful for people with ADD and ADHD. Okay? Chunking things into smaller pieces rather than grabbing the entire thing in its entirety. Okay, if you look at some of the most popular video games out there right now, so if you look at, say, not Resident Evil, I don't know which Resident Evil they're on right now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, even look at Warzone, Fortnite, any of those video games, if people just sat down and only looked at the big picture of what the end product of that game was going to look like, they wouldn't be able to formulate it. They chunk it up into smaller pieces, and they assign different people different roles to complete that section. That is decomposition, okay? And this video here, same thing. I'm not going to watch it now. I'm going to let you watch it when you go through the lesson on your own, but it does explain it in a little bit different way. Okay. Logical reasoning. This one's a big one, and you've heard me use this term already. And it's just a simple thing that we do as human beings that you have to be able to put into your programs as well. Okay? It helps us correctly map out a process to solve a problem. Okay? And solving a problem doesn't always mean something's wrong. When Napster first came on the scene, you're all probably too young. I don't know if you even know what Napster is, but it was the first file sharing audio website where you could go to and get songs for free. It was the first of its kind. It solved the problem. People wanted music. They wanted it for free. So that's the problem. The fact that it was illegal was irrelevant. The problem was people want music. They want it for free. So sometimes when you think of the word problem in computer science, it's not an error. It's not something wrong. It's something that you want to create. It's an idea more than a problem. Okay? Maybe you all have an idea for an amazing app that could make you a millionaire. That's the problem. Okay? The problem is your idea. So when it talks about solving our problem in computer science, it's not always debugging and looking for an error in code. Most of the time it refers to that idea that you're using your program to carry out. Okay? So logical reasoning based on specific facts related to the problem can gather information and help us determine an outcome. Okay? So here is, I'm going to test you, so you might have to talk. Okay? Don't say your name because I'm still live on YouTube. But you may have to talk because I want someone to answer this. Here are some facts that we can use to make a logical decision. Mr. Barron feels strongly about the rights of women and dislikes examples of sexism and misogyny. Mr. Barron is very outspoken and shares his opinion with others. Often shares his opinion with others. Mr. Barron is not afraid of conflict and believes strongly in doing the right thing. Mr. Barron does not resort to violence when there is an opportunity for education. Those are the constants. Those are the things we know about the problem. Okay? That's what we know. So we have gathered information, and we know number 1 to 4 about me. Now, we have somebody introduce this statement. You throw like a girl to insult a boy, that just didn't throw a ball very well. Based on number 1 to 4, what's the logical reaction that you can think of for Mr. Barron to have? Anybody? What is the reaction you think that will occur? Yeah, go.
I would think you'd say that a girl would throw better than him.
Okay, that's a perfect example. I would say that doesn't make sense. A girl could throw better than a boy. Okay, and it's right. There's most likely going to be a verbal conflict, and we can say verbal conflict because of number 4. Mr. Barron doesn't resort to violence when there's an opportunity for education. Okay? So it doesn't mean I'm going to walk up to somebody that said that and punch them in the face. It means I'm probably going to say something to them. I'm going to say something along the lines of, when a boy does poorly in sports, people say they're playing like girls. When a girl does really well in sports, what do people say about the girl? Anybody? Maybe we don't have anyone that plays sports? When a girl's really good at a sport, what do people say to her? You could play with the boys. Thank you. So, boy plays poorly. Hey, stop playing like a girl. Girl plays well. People say, you can go play with the boys. So, the boys do poorly, they're girls. The girls do well, they're boys. What kind of damage do you think that does for young girls? They can't ever be themselves because themselves is just wrong. This is an example of misogyny. So that is how I would most likely react to that situation. Okay? Logical reasoning. Now, my example was a problem. It was a legitimate problem. It was an example of something negative, something oppressive. And I want to reiterate it. It's not always that. There isn't always a problem. Sometimes the problem is just your idea, what you want to create. All right? Okay. That's the end of the lesson. I'm going to go through these assignments real quick. Shoot, I didn't open Teams. I'm just going to open Teams real quick here. And make sure there's no questions for anybody at home. Okay, doesn't look like there's any questions at the moment. If there are questions, please and thank you, type them into the Teams group, and I will answer them there before I shut off the live stream. All right, so we have finished lesson 8. I'm going on to assignment number 8, abstraction. Show me that you understand abstraction. All I need you to do is describe your car. If you don't have a car, describe the car you wish you had. The catch here is I want you to describe your car different ways based on who you're describing it to. I'll let you pick who you're describing it to, but I want them to all be people that will require different information about your car. So I don't want you to describe your car by saying, it's a brown truck, and then do that 3 times and say, it's a brown truck, it's a brown truck, it's a brown truck. And then I say, those are all 3 the same. Yeah, because I was showing it to my uncle, my cousin, and my dad, and none of them like cars, so they don't care. I don't want you to do that. I want you to give me 3 different descriptions, okay? And think about it this way. I don't know anything about vehicles. Nothing. And I don't want to know anything about vehicles. They are boring for me. People will ask me, like, hey, what kind of engine's in your truck? It's a brown truck. I don't know. That's all I can tell you. I don't know how many liters are in it. I don't even know how many liters are in the gas tank. I drive it until it stops working, and then I put more gas in it, and then I keep driving it. So if you're explaining your car to me, you're going to explain it very basically. But if you are taking your car to your mechanic, now you're going to have to give more information than you would give to an idiot like me. All right, so that's what I want you to do. Find 3 different people in your life, they can be imaginary, I don't care, that make you provide 3 different definitions of your car or descriptions of your car. Okay? That's it. 3 different descriptions, including essential information. Each description needs to be unique, based on the person it's being described to. I need a title explaining who the description is for. Please don't just hand in 1, 2, 3 things. Okay, and let me give you a little hint here, real quick. When you're completing an assignment, whether you're doing this in the text box or in Word, put titles and format the project. So I say description 1, maybe a colon, and then I add the description there. Maybe I can even like bold and underline this. It looks really nice. Then I can just copy that and I can paste it twice, and now I can change this to description 2, and I can change this to description 3. Now, in here, and in here, I can write my descriptions. Rather than just start describing, like this, there's description 1, description 2, description 3, or even worse, I get from students often, description 1, period, description 2, period, description 3, period, hand in. Well, you're just giving yourself a lower chance of getting a good mark. If I have to sift through and find where each description is, there's less chance you're going to get a good mark. Okay? So, format it, make it look somewhat nice so that I can tell the difference between the 3 descriptions. Okay? You would also include, so you would say description 1, mom, just like that. And then you'd write your description. Okay? Last thing, I need everybody to see this. Stop auto-correcting that. Right there. This thing right here. I'm hoping everybody can see it at home. I'm hoping everybody can see it here. That is an I. That is an I that you use in the middle of a word. That thing is never alone or by itself. If you are referring to yourself, you need to have one of these. That's a capital I. This is a lowercase I. You cannot refer to yourself in a lowercase I. I understand your cell phone, your mobile device, it auto-corrects that for you to a capital I. I get that. Not everything does that, especially emails and messages you send to me. When you use a lowercase I to describe yourself, you make yourself look uneducated. And while that's fine to send a text message to your friends with lowercase i's, or an email to your friends with lowercase i's, sending it to your teacher or your boss or a professor makes you look foolish and uneducated. And it makes you look lazy that you can't even edit your work. So, formatting on your assignment. Also, lowercase i's make baby Jesus cry. So don't use lowercase i's. Use full-size i's. Okay? That is assignment number 8, abstraction. It shouldn't take you that long. So I'm going to show you the next one as well. From here, we go to assignment 9, automation, decomposition, logical reasoning. Yeah, just give me an example of how you use those things. I gave a bunch of examples when I was teaching it. So how do you use automation? How do you use decomposition and logical reasoning in your life? Okay? You can't just steal my examples. Okay? Be original. That's it. Write that in and you're done. From there, we go to the one that's going to take a little bit longer to complete. Okay, algorithm practice. Now, we didn't talk directly about what algorithms are. All they really are is a step of instructions. Okay, step by step. First this, then this, then this, then this. That's the algorithm. Okay, it's like a formula. Yeah, or bed maths, or if they still use bed math. I know they changed math, but it's a step-by-step process of how to complete something. Okay? So in part 1, you're going to post in the forum. So you're going to create a new discussion. I want you to create an algorithm on how to draw a character in Microsoft Paint. Okay? If you don't have Microsoft Paint, then whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just some editing. So this is Paint. You just type it in here, and now you can draw stuff. So I'm a terrible drawer. There. Okay, so I drew something. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to be good. I don't care. You're going to draw some crazy character, but you're going to create an algorithm on how to draw that character. Don't worry if you're not good at using it. I don't care about that. All I want is your step-by-step instructions. Post the algorithm as a discussion here. Don't post a picture of your character. That's cheating. You're going to post a picture of you're going to post the algorithm to create it. So as you draw your character, you're going to write steps beside that saying, first do this, first do this, first do that. That's what I want in the discussion post. Okay? We can assume a couple things. We can assume the Paint program is already open. So you don't have to include instructions on how to open Paint or how to use Paint. You can assume that the user has basic computer operation skills. All right? So you don't have to explain what each thing in Paint is. All you have to say is select your brush, select your eraser, select the color fill, whatever that is. Okay? The algorithm has to be a character, not just a shape. The algorithm has to have at least 10 steps to it. I'm sure it will have more. There's probably 12 steps in that stick person figure I just created. Okay, so if yours only has 10, that's going to be a surprise. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I had 9 steps just in this stick person. Okay? So you're probably going to have more than 10. You must be specific about each step or the user's not going to draw the character correctly. Pretend it is a computer you are giving instructions to. Pretend you're giving the instructions to an idiot that doesn't know how to do anything. Be specific with your instructions. That's the best way to look at it, because users you write programs for are going to be idiots. So be very, very specific in your instructions. Excuse me. Part 2. In part 2 of this forum, you'll be required to choose an algorithm from one of your classmates, and one of your classmates have posted and follow the instructions to complete the drawing. You have to pretend you can't figure out the implied instructions. You can only perform the instructions as listed in the algorithm. Once you've completed your drawing, you'll post it and reply to the student's original algorithm. Okay? Don't do one that somebody else has already done. If there's already a reply to somebody's algorithm, pick someone else's. I don't want 5 replies on the same person's, because what happens is you just go and look at the picture that the other student drew and you just draw that. You also can't give hints in your algorithm. You can't say draw a circle that looks like a head. You can't say that. You have to give specific instructions on what that circle should look like. Okay? You have to follow the algorithm for each of your classmates. I am not going to mark you based on how well your classmates interpret your algorithm. This part's kind of just for fun. I just want to see how well you've created your algorithm. So don't worry about cheating your friend in. So if you go and read your friends and you're like, hey, tell me what your algorithm is supposed to look like so that I can draw it perfect and you get a good mark. No, you're not going to get a good mark based on that. I will mark based on what I read in your algorithm, not how your students, fellow students interpret it. So if they make a glaring error, you have to follow that error in the algorithm. Okay? Follow the instructions exactly, create the drawing, don't do anything that's not instructed by the algorithm. Take a screenshot and post it as a reply to the student's original post. So once you have Paint and you've got your drawing done, you can type snip here and you get this snipping tool. And you just say new, and then you can just go like this, and then you just right click on it and say save as, and then wherever you save it, that's what you can attach to your post. You can't even just copy it. Where'd it go? Oh, I closed it. Anyway, you can just copy it and most likely paste it as a reply to the student who created the algorithm. Okay? I said this already, but I'm going to say it again so everybody understands. You will be evaluated on the assignment based on my interpretations of your algorithms, not your classmates' abilities to follow them. My assessment will provide you with the mark, but your peers will show how effective your algorithm is. Do not include a sample of what your picture should look like. People should be able to recreate it from your instructions only. Okay, any questions on the algorithm assignment? There is going to be a bit of an issue here because whoever the first person is to complete this assignment is going to have to wait for another student to complete it as well. because you won't be able to go on until you've completed that. So if you get to that point and you're waiting for a long time, let me know. I'll double check and see where everyone else is. It shouldn't be too long of a wait, but prepare yourself for it. Okay, that is what we're working on. Now we still have an hour and a half. This assignment I'm saying would take you maybe 20 minutes, and that's being generous. This one would take you 10, so that's half an hour. The algorithm, you can definitely do that in an hour. Okay, so I'm assuming you can have this one done by the end of this class. So I'm going to put the due date for today for all 3 of these, and then tomorrow we will be moving on to actual programming where we will learn about Python. You know what? Maybe I'm pushing too fast. I'll see where we're at halfway through the class tomorrow. There's a chance I'll move on at maybe 10 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll give you a little bit more time to get this algorithm one done. I won't start right at 9 tomorrow, maybe around 10 o'clock, 10:30, depending on where everybody's assignments are. Fair enough? Questions about anything from anyone at home or... Okay, that is all. I will see you tomorrow.